stage Melissa Kupsch and Peter Berryman.
Who's just in? I don't.
These are our last two speakers before we get into some music. All right. So, I think I was introducing the way, actually, yeah. But I was just reading my.
So, anybody who has ever found me, possibly through a podcast, or if you've been on Instagram, you have probably heard at some point me reference Peter. He was the first homeopath that our family worked with. What I saw blew my mind. I was already a naturopathic student 2 years into my degree, had never heard of homeopathy. I thought it must be an aloof something because it was any good. And I'm here studying at a college of natural medicine. Obviously, I would have already come across it. So when I witnessed the healing of my sister, I said, all right, before I change my degree over, I now want you to trick me, and you try and do something with that. And he rose to that challenge, gave me a remedy that caused a huge healing reaction in my body. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, this is the depth of homeopathy. But Peter was just an instrumental part of that journey. And it honestly is fair to say, without you, we would never have had Remedy, definitely not Remedy Academy. I might have got Remedy Collective off the ground, but Remedy Academy, not a chance, because it's your wisdom and the way that you have shown up for me, you know, from when I was just a little student going into the staff offices. Hey, can I ask you some questions? Yes, sure. Just all of this helping later turned into mentoring. And to be honest, I feel that I skipped off so much trial and error by having you in my corner. You made me a pre-grade homeopath very quickly, and now you have helped our 570 students, let's be honest, be really brilliant very quickly. And we see that with what's happening. So, Peter, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so we brainstormed some questions today. I'm going to kind of just prompt you, but you two are so great at presenting anyway, so I'm probably not going to be saying much. But Peter, you have so many qualifications in natural health, so why homeopathy?
It's the best of the bunch. And before I chose this one to specialize, I wanted to know, well, I didn't know it was the pick of the bunch when I was 16. I first went to university at 16, and by 20, I'd figured it out. And I'm grateful for my natural medicine backstory, because by being exposed to a multiplicity of modalities that were available to learn in Australia, and then traveling overseas to see, is there anything else that I don't know about in Australia that's available elsewhere in the world? And I traveled in 17 different countries to see if it was anything better. It wasn't. So I was content to say this, in my experience, is the pick of the bunch. And I decided to specialize in this one, and I wouldn't have any regrets. And I've never had any regrets ever since. And there are occasions where I take off my homeopathy hat and I put on a herbalist hat, or I put on my alchemy hat, or I put on my astrology hat, or my other hats. But the better I get as a homeopath, the less I need anything else, because it's enough. I'm content.
So on that note, I thought I would explain what homeopathy is. And this is where the Academy, here's very deep, very much, our Bible in homeopathy, it's called the Organon, written 250 years ago-ish. He's up at a boy, I'm like. So, and from that, those deep understandings, so he understands the depths of it, the philosophy. Or when we go to a conference together and someone wants to because homeopaths, I guess we probably see the same in nutrition and a lot of other fields, because homeopathy is so individualized, we all do it slightly differently. And so a lot of people want to think that they do it the right way. And so if I'm ever cornered in a conference, I'm like, oi, get over here, because he's this little walking encyclopedia, and I'm just like, go, and it always, and in a really loving and engaging and in the spirit of learning, because we're all just learning. And this is obviously what we teach our students. Be open to everything, but try it for yourself and see what actually works best. But as for what homeopathy is, I'm sure a lot of you here do already know, but if you don't, homeopathy, it is an energetic system of medicine. So we know that acupuncturists, they use their needles to stimulate the flow of energy throughout the body to get it healing. We call it the vital force. They might call it chi. The Ayurvedic doctors will call it prana. But it's the same thing. We all have one. And this vital force is such a divinely intelligent, and it's just innate in every single one of us. And all it knows is to how to try and heal you and try and protect you. And it is such a loving, we cut our arms and we don't sit there freaking out, but oh my gosh, because we know the body knows how to heal itself. It's going to scab up. I'm not going to bleed out. But people don't realize that even your gut, your IBS, your this, that, and the other, it's constantly trying to heal. But the problem is these days we've got a lot of things that are throwing us off kilter. So the three main things that I really put it down to is trauma, what we have experienced throughout our lifetime. And it can be simple things like my parents divorced and it broke my heart and I suppressed this grief my whole life. It can be, relationship breakdowns, losing a family member, something that knocks the air out of your lungs and it causes a bit of a crawl in your vital force, a bit of a block there. And as humans, we then start to adapt, we compensate to get around that block. And so that's a big one. Our trauma is what we personally experienced. Then we've got the toxins. If you're going to put toxins straight into the bloodstream, or we're going to eat it, consume it, and absorb it on the skin, it really throws the vital force out, and that can be an absolute block on its own. And then the last one is what we inherit down our family lines. This is something that we love to talk about because even though there are hundreds of thousands, probably millions now, who are homeopathy is definitely catching on. I don't know if you guys know, that's completely and utterly the future of medicine. But a lot of people only see it for the physical things that it can do. Supporting through fevers, infections, colds and flus. They don't realize that the ancestral trauma, that deep, dark, heavy depression that your grandmother had and your father had, and it just comes down, that is an energetic distortion. Now, something has happened up that family line, and let's be honest, we're a lot of war, descendants, stuff like that. And that distorted energy can keep flowing down. And when we give a remedy that matches that distortion, that matches that trauma, that situation, that poison, whatever they went through, that's throughout that family's vital force, we can put it back into alignment, even if it is multiple generations down the track. And we've seen this in our students who bring their cases to us currently. So we sign off thousands, and we're privy to the incredible work that these students are doing. And when we see sometimes this distorted energy, and we give, or the student prescribes and we sign off on the remedy, and it breaks out in this huge head to toe rash, and all of these things start to just come up and up and up. And like say, the one gentleman I've got in mind right now and had real heavy distorted energy coming down his family lines. He takes this remedy called syphilis, breaks out in a head to toe rash. This guy had such severe sleep apnea. He's needing like a CPAP machine, all of this other pathology. And after that rash broke out, there was a 70% improvement straight away just from that. And so on that note, Peter, your favorite cases, tell us a couple so people realize what can this medicine actually do for people.
Sure, I thought about this deeply. I could rave on about homeopathic pharmacy, the secret of homeopathy is potentization, what happens in a lab, but I'll probably send you for sleep. So instead, I'll wake you up with a couple of cases instead. We'll leave that till the November 26th convention. I got a lovely presentation to you about how homeopaths are a disguise for practicing alchemists. And how we do transformation, we take people who are ill and we turn them into people who are well. They're cured in the fullest sense of the word. They are restored across generations even. And that is friggin' amazing if you actually appreciate the capacity we have to reach back in time, if time has a back, let alone a front or not, and make a difference to our ancestors. Our earlier speakers were talking about our unity, our oneness, and that's certainly reflected in our roots and our ancestors, our spirituality. We don't talk too much about spirituality, but we certainly acknowledge it from time to time. And here's another opportunity to acknowledge our spiritual healing amongst our physical and psychological and mental healing as well. We do. And we don't talk too much about it, but I've been pretty excited about it in terms of our recognition of dreamscapes. Patients take a good prescription, and early days, how much their dreamscape changed. You want to talk about dreams? I'll talk about my cases, but tell us about what you think about how, under the influence of an excellent homeopathic prescription, within days, weeks, profound, deep, and meaningful dreams come through that are very therapeutic and very profound. I mean, the client might not remember too much the next morning, but it was like psychotherapy in your sleep. Now, how profound is that to deal with your psychological, your mental, your spiritual baggage? You want to talk about that? I'll talk about my cases later, but that's interesting. That's interesting.
We would see this in about a third of our cases, that the patient will come back and say, when you gave me this frequency in a bottle, that I took 2 drops under my tongue and I went to bed last night, and they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, that was a profoundly healing dream. Sometimes it will make a lot of sense to them. Sometimes it's not as much, that they know, they say, I never dreamt this vivid. I'd never remembered my dreams like this. And that tells us you are touching the human spirit. And so say if their IBS only came on after their boyfriend broke up with them out of the blue 20 years ago, and we've prescribed that arsenicum album, and they go to bed that night, of course, who do they dream of? The boyfriend. But what's interesting actually in this case that I'm talking about, it was the opposite. She had dreamt of him almost every night since the breakup. Out of her control, subconscious, again, that distortion of energy got lodged in there. It got stuck. And here we come with a well-indicated homeopathic remedy to try and get her unstuck, get it off. It's painful. And we've got so many people walking around the world right now, I would say almost everyone who's not under the influence of homeopathic care, where things are stuck. And sure, we're all always a work in progress and all those things. You know, life doesn't stop being hard. But you don't get to a point, I think, where you're just like, yep, that's it, I'm 1,000% healed. But definitely you will peel back these layers and we are healing the spirit of people. And I think, well, I'll touch on that a bit in a layer, why that's so critical for the time that we're in now. But Peter, tell us like some cases.
Well, just to finish that case, here was a woman who had a traumatic relationship breakup, seemingly moved on, got married to another man, but had irritable bowel syndrome ever since that romantic breakup. She takes a homeopathic remedy. She has all this dreaming about that prior relationship, heals herself in her dreams, heals it as she reflects on it in her consciousness, and within days, after having this IBS for years, it all goes away.
And how many people are going to the nutritionists constantly for these things? They are energetically rooted. And you can do all of the allergy testing. How many people come to us as homeopaths and they say, I'm allergic to like all these things, my body can't tolerate it. We had a mother and she brought her child to our RMDY Academy clinic. And the remedy prescribed is actually thuya. And it was given because we believed that a vaccine injury was the root of this child's, all of their sensitivities and all of their sort of immune system blow up. And through that remedy, Thuya, complete restoration. The child could tolerate everything, no highs, no reactions at all. And the mum said, I would just cancelled my year's worth of appointments that I pre-booked for all of our testing. And that's the power of homeopathy, because we're going to the root of what went wrong. And we save people 20 years in a psychologist's office going over the same things. We're still saying it, but just remember, it's the energy that's stuck. And there are some very different modalities out there you can do. You can meditate, you can do breath work, you can do all of those things. And you might definitely notice a little bit of an improvement. Some people get this somatic release, you know. There are powerful, powerful modalities out there. And like the real homeopathic snob that I am, we are the one that can cut right to the bottom like so quickly. I've worked with so many people who think they've done it all. We have this analogy, teeth. Tried everything else, well, try homeopathy. And I just wish we were the first port of call. The amount of damage that gets done, certainly by physicians who are trying to help, you know, with the antibiotics and the steroids and whatever else they're intervening with. But if they were brought to us first, it would be a very different story. And then we can use all of our other modalities to back it up. Well, if homeopathy couldn't get to the root, well, then we better get really creative now.
All right. That's what I wonder. If I have a failure, and that's rare, who do I send it to? And, you know, Melissa's not taking new patients anymore, so I can't send them to you. So, yeah. But those rare patients, I guess that's where I really would learn something. If I could figure out why can I not help you, and if I could learn and improve, then I would move forward as a practitioner. So my greatest teachers are my patients and my students, thank you, and particularly my failures. I mean, as embarrassing as that is, it keeps you humble and it keeps your nose to the grind to learn more.
Totally. And I think so many of you here could probably relate to this, that it's sometimes like one of us in the family, maybe we have our own health condition or maybe one of the kids do, and it's led us here. It's made us, you know, buy better food, you know, educate ourselves, wisen up. And let's be honest, the setting that we're living in at the moment, it doesn't really support that. So it's the work, you know, for you guys to be here and be that first domino, you know, and we are planting the seeds because it shouldn't be this hard. Honestly, we should have to pay extra for the poison-free food. But hey, I'm on the homeopathics, Peter.
Okay. I brought two cases. One's very physical. I'll start off with that because that might be easy to appeal. 54-year-old female. I'll call her Susan for anonymity. She's an accountant in Brisbane. She came to me saying her surgeon wants to do a left knee replacement. I said, okay, well, you don't want to have that level of surgical intervention. Let's talk about what's going on. And obviously she starts off talking about the knee and her physiotherapy and her gymnasium work and what she can and can't do. And I said, okay, well, how long have you had this? And she said, all my life. I said, well, really? Tell me about your life. So we go back and we find out that at age 3 years old, she had a smallpox vaccine in her left arm 3 times. And ever since then, her musculoskeletal problems have just compounded and exaggerated and degenerated till her left knee has fallen apart. So I said, oh, look, Susan, let's run with this hypothesis that all your health problems have stemmed from age 3 from this vaccine damage, smallpox. I'm sorry if you've had a smallpox vaccine, but if you have any chronic health problems, it's probably got something to do with having had a smallpox vaccine if you're that old. So they stopped giving smallpox vaccines in 1972. So have a look on your left shoulder, see if you've got a scar about the size of your thumbnail, and then come and see me later. And I'll fix you up.
Tell them the remedy. Yeah.
The remedy was Thuya occidentalis, the arbor vitae, the tree of life. What a name for medicine. Thuya, arbor vitae. So I said to Susan, I said, look, this is my working hypothesis. I might be wrong. Sorry, apologies in advance. And within 4 months, she cancelled all her surgical procedures. She fired her surgeon, and she said, actually, I'm stronger now than ever. I've been able to do more at the gymnasium than I ever was able to do. My physiotherapist is mind-blown that I could regenerate my knee. It was about to be chopped out. Do you appreciate how advanced that is? And that was reversed in 4 months of just Thuya, twice a day, at a WHB, a wide hold back potency, a very strong potency.
For the students out there, we know.
Students out there, something strong, twice a day. She did get a bit of a shakedown in the first couple of weeks. I said, good, it's working. She said, thank you. Yes, I agree. And she was prepared to hang with me and go through some mild discomfort if she got her knee back, but not only her knee, her energy improved, her sleep improved, her life improved, right? And it's not finished, but can you see how much can be done in a relatively short period of time for a 54-year-old woman who's been ill since 3, and we turned it around and she said 70% improvement in 4 months. What do you think of that? Is that as rapid and as gentle as can be? That's what we try and deliver.
And doesn't it just make sense to all of us here that we're just sort of born on this earth, and don't we think that God would give us tools to heal, and it comes through nature, and it does not harm, it does not suppress, it does nothing but support the body, your best self-healing capacities. And this is the thing about homeopathy, we like to say, I like to say it. And it is not homeopathy that is curing you, but it is just that homeopathy is triggering your own innate healing powers. It's you who has done it. You have done that conscious healing. You've let go of all that pain and that grief and that shame and guilt. And then your body healed itself. And it's all you. And it's just these very well-selected homeopathic remedies that you give your body, your vital force, that remembering. It stimulates and it goes, oh, crap, yeah, we got a lot under here. Let's get it out. All right, case.
Case 2, this is a 41-year-old male. He's a medical doctor. Yes, doctors come and see homeopaths. His wife made him do that. What a cliche. The men come because the wife says, if you don't go, it's divorce. Which would you rather? So he came to see me. And his chief complaint was his anxiety of conscience. He's a medical doctor, and when any of his clients suffer or die, he thinks he's responsible, and he gives himself so much anxiety, it tears him up. So this was his complaint, anxiety, a mental health problem. So bad, I mean, it makes him a good doctor, but it's just too much, and it's destroying him and his relationship with his wife, and he's got a daughter as well, 5. So I gave him Aura Metallicum, and in 7 months, he's fit and frisky, he's light and lively, he's finished his PhD thesis, and he's taking his family on holidays, and he's telling his mum and dad to leave him alone and stop putting so much responsibility on him. And, you know, he's telling them to PO. I'm not those B. I've been told to stop swearing. My clients still do, but I'm not allowed to anymore. And he's just lightened up, and his wife tells me, she's a patient of mine as well, she's a lawyer, and she said, I'll call him Andrew. Andrew is just adorable now. He used to be so friggin' serious and so heavy, and I mean, I love him to death, but he's a much better man now. I loved my man 7 months later. So I thought that was a nice mental health story to see. Yes, we can turn significant and profound obsessive compulsive disorders around in a relatively short amount of time. And he has available all the medical specialities of conventional Western medicine, and they hadn't helped. He tried psychiatric drugs, SSRIs, all that. No, they hadn't truly helped him until Aura Metallicum turned him around. Gold,
the frequency of gold. And if you've listened to any of my podcasts, you'll better know I'm on the receiving end as a wife of another Aurum prescription for a beautiful man, and it was very, very powerful. All right, one more question.
All right. Let's hear a little bit about the Academy and what it's like training up the single largest cohort of homeopaths in history.
Okay. And in the world
And
today. It's current. And of this historical,
I am very proud student. I love learning from you both. I love listening to the conversations, the banter, and also just touch on Zib. I'm sure there's some people here that have been thinking about joining the next cohort. We're halfway through the first one, and it's been one of the greatest sins that I've ever put my hand up to do.
And your mom.
Yes, Ria and my mom. It's literally the conversations that we're having. It's just so much depth, and like you said, the results that you're getting from people is just absolutely life-changing for these people. And yeah, so let's hear about the Academy and the future of what you've got planned for at Officer.
How do I feel about it? I am so immensely proud. So in this cohort currently, Peter and I are so hands-on. We're in every tutorial, like receiving these cases, just thousands of them. And all my fear is just pride at the work that they're doing. And so much, I really didn't think I was going to go to the last week. It is to think there was time, right? Put a lot of pressure on myself. Oh my gosh, really? I put a lot of pressure on myself to like share it with the world. And that life, I didn't want to let the opportunities slip past and the world miss out on this beautiful medicine. And now with these 570 students, I actually just feel like I can breathe because they are all like exactly the same. I mean, so many of them are here and they are passionate. They're as in love with it as I am. And we built a community that I know they will just never be broken apart. It's absolutely like that's one of our biggest, praise points that I would have for what we have built. And it is how those students hold each other. And then it flows on to how they hold their patients. And it's, to be a part of it. And we just have so much fun. Peter says it all the time. If we're not having fun, what's the point? And so that translates for them. So we love it.
yes, thank you for laughing at my jokes, students. Because if I'm not having fun, you probably aren't having fun. And I think it's another way to engage and empathize and enjoy and be passionate about what we do, because there's nothing else I would rather do. And as I said to you earlier, I've checked out everything else and I'm content to do my very best, devote myself forever in this craft because I believe in it and I'm improving on it and I'm working with a fabulous team. Thank you, Melissa, and the Remedy team. Thank you, all the folks. Where's Ashley? Especially a call out for Ashley, for all the back work she does.
And the red team, they ask you where you.
I'll just speak out the last part of that, but it is our vision, where we want to take Remedy. Now, Ash is obviously the other half of it, and as well as our team, they are unbelievable and sort of like bless it. We're not all perfect of all the different areas of our business. There are so many things they would never want me to touch within our company. But if we get to all play in our magic, but we still work together and play to our strengths, that's how we've done what we have done. And that exists at the Egreba. Our goal for Remedy, we currently had our first homeopathic centre for healing being constructed. It's about halfway done. We're looking at a mid next year opening. We are getting all of the decor done up. My vibe is let's make it whimsical. Let's sort of make it feel like a little bit that vintage feel of where you look at those old hospitals that existed all around the world that we all like innately feel like, oh, I wish we could go back to that time, when homeopathy did exist in these huge hospitals. We went to the Philadelphia Homeopathic Hospital this year when we rode there. And it was magnificent. It probably cost $70 million to try and buy back. But hey, we're going the long game here. But for now, we're starting in Brisbane. Our next on the list is Melbourne, and then Sydney, and a base in America. because whilst I am quite Australian focused and I want to build things here, America also, they're incredible, and just, they just grasped it. I feel like they've been rebels. Maybe there's more of them there, so we definitely want to. Our hope is that in these healing centers opening, people will go to them, they'll experience it, and it's just this outward ripple effect. And whilst I love the online world and what we build has been a lot online, nothing is going to replace these brick and mortar places for people to go in that moment. Your kids are sick at home, it's, late, and you're freaking out. You think, oh, my only option is go, to the hospital where I know what they're going to tell me and what they're going to do. Why don't we create this heaven on earth healing center that everyone wants? And that's what has driven every single step that we've taken, is that this is what we wanted for our families when they were young. And because it doesn't exist yet, that's what we need to work together and build, for the future generations. But yeah, that's everywhere.
Well, I'd like to make another call out, because if this has been video, Professor Dr. Jean Duckworth, this is for you. We love you and we're doing a fabulous job. And we old salty dogs, we hang together, and Jean and I, we kind of the Stomp the Brains Trust. Melissa calls us the walking encyclopedias, because we've been doing it for decades and we believe we know what we're doing, and we're rolling it out for you, your students and your partners and your family and your future. We love you all, and we are dedicated to this probably till our dying day. Thank you, Jean.
Amen. Thank you, guys. And if you Brian, your vocabulary is actually in play crossing here. Love it.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. That is the end of our Speak and Tell.
Your time?
Yes. So next up, we've got a beautiful singer-songwriter that is local, Phoebe Rose. I've come to the stage.